Hey there, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you're watching this from. And this is going to be a small talk on checking in. So, so by that I mean, like checking in on your people and your friends, families, and checking in with yourself. Because I feel like a lot of times we get so wrapped up in this world with all of its responsibilities, with all of its fast-paced activities, the way the world is going, days are flying by like nothing, and it feels like we're getting so occupied with, with responsibilities, with jobs, with schoolwork, with relationships, and so on and so forth, as well as trying to, cope up with our day-to-day problems or day-to-day issues, whether that be financially, emotionally, in terms of relationships, or spiritually, and all of that. That too, having to abide by our, commitments to people, commitments to our organizations that we work for, or the relationships that we have, and so on and so forth. So it can get overwhelming most of the time, especially if you're working more than one job, or you're doing something on the side as a side hustle, trying to make that work, or if you're trying to put up your own business or whatever like that. It's really overwhelming to cope up with everything, and sooner or later, I found out personally for me. I mean, I'm not running a business or whatever. I'm, in fact, just applying jobs and stuff, trying to work that and do this on the side. But even that, for me personally, I feel like it can get too overbearing and too occupying in terms of my time, because yes, I personally, for me, I do check in with the people that I care about. I do check in with the people that I love, especially with you guys online, to check in on how other people are doing around the world. This is how I do that, through my videos, through my pages on Facebook and Instagram, just trying to connect with people and see what's going on. And maybe if, y'all need somebody to talk to, just to vent out or anything like that. But yeah, I do that for the most part. But in terms of myself personally, I haven't been able to check in with myself every now and then. I mean, there's a form of writing that I do, which is, you know, writing poetry helps me, just vent out the feelings that I have, but I don't really, sit back and step back from time to time, um, thinking to myself, how are you feeling today? Is anything wrong? Just asking myself the logical questions which I would ask anybody else, in terms of trying to check in with them and trying to make sure that they're all right. I mean, there are moments when I'm up late and I can't sleep, so I just think that to myself, like, what's going on? How are you making me feel? What can we do to dig us out of this hole that we've put ourselves in for the past years, and so on and so forth. And that's pretty much the only checking in I do. But I feel like it's really necessary for us to check in with other people and to check in with ourselves, because at the end of the day, everybody's going through struggles, everybody's going through problems, everybody has their own issues that they're dealing with that they don't really tell anybody. Mainly because of that, mainly because of knowing that other people have problems, other people have their issues. So who am I to burden them with my own? And that's a good mindset to have, because you're taking into consideration their feelings, their emotions, and their current situations as well. But if somebody reaches out to you, and somebody reaches out to you, you'll feel overwhelmed, and you'll feel like all of a sudden the walls are coming down. I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, that's what it feels like whenever whenever a friend or an acquaintance or anybody who I'm close with, asks me, "Hey, what's been going on? Hey, is everything all right? Issues happening and so on and so forth. Everything good?" And you can share up, you can open up. We haven't spoken in a while, something like that. My walls just keep tumbling down. Of course, I don't cry and like lash out or anything like that, but I take a deep breath and I open up to them about what's really been going on with myself personally, mentally up here, emotionally over here, and just my overall health and all of that. And sometimes it's not pretty, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's just the same. And yeah, we get to a conversation. I found myself feeling a little more lighter in the chest, a little more clear headed up here. And after that, I can go about my day without having to feel, so weary, so anxious, like everything's about to fall apart and I'm just waiting for it to happen, you know, something like that. But then yeah, speaking from that experience, I mean it's really necessary to check in with people, mainly because I feel like personally, in my opinion, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but from what I've seen is that people don't usually like sharing what they're feeling, in terms of what they're going through, in terms of especially if it's bad, and sometimes also if it's good, because they feel like nobody's there to listen, nobody's there to to truly hear them out without just being like, oh, okay, like yeah, that's cool. And this one is kind of like just for them to hear and then that's it. They feel like nobody's there to really conversate with them in terms of the thing that they want to talk about. And so that's why I believe most people just stay in silent, fighting these battles, not eventually sometimes falling apart and succumbing to these pains, these sorrows, these anguishes, which leads into more dire and more difficult situations moving forward. And I feel like that shouldn't be the case because, I mean, there are a lot of people who are willing, there are a lot of people who are truly open to hearing you out, to conversating with you, to finding out a solution if you would like that to the problem that you're having, or to truly empathize with you in terms of the situation that you're having. I mean, not gonna it's not gonna make everything go away, but it's comforting to know that you're not in it alone, and you've got other people who are fighting the same battle and who are willing to stick by your side and hopefully conquer that battle together. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things we bond upon. There's a lot of things we connect on, and I truly believe that sometimes that could be heartache, that could be pain, that could be agony, or shared problems or shared, experiences that have dealt with issues and stuff like that, whether internally or externally. I mean, a friend of mine, uh, a newly friend of mine once said that, when it's a buddy of mine in an open mic, he said that, when I was pouring my heart out and then in a piece of spoken word on the mic, and after that, I just felt overwhelmed. I just decided to take a breather. He went up and checked on me, and then he was like, uh, you know, concerned because the piece that I did was about mental health and stuff. So I just sprinkled on my own emotions there, writing that the night before. And he asked me if I was okay and stuff, and I told him, yeah, it's be. Yeah, I might have these issues, I might have these problems, but just writing them and speaking them out in the form of poetry for other people to listen to and other people to, to connect with and give like, this artsy form of it. It's nice with a hopeful twist, of course. But then, yeah. And then after that, yeah, I assured him everything is okay. And he told me one thing. He was like, if you need anybody to talk to or if anything's going on, you have a community over here, be it the open mic with all of the artists and all of the poets and stuff. And I was like, that's really comforting to hear, knowing that you're not alone. There are other people who are out there, this one. So I feel like, yeah, it's a really good thing to reach out. It's a really good thing to check in on people, to check in with yourselves. And when somebody checks in on you, don't be afraid to open up because I mean sometimes they wouldn't be checking up on you if they didn't really care about you, right? The only reason they check up on you, the only reason they make sure that you're all right, or if everything's okay, if anything's on your mind, or if you're having any issues, is because they care about you and they want you to be all right. They want you to be okay. They want you to prosper instead of dwell and suffer in that case. And yeah, just a reminder that life is short for the most part. Sometimes it can be long, especially on those days when you're dealing with these types of issues. But yeah, don't miss the opportunity to check in on somebody every now and then if you have the chance to, because it might end up, being the reliever or being the catalyst to give them that sense of release, that sense of peace from the burdens that they're enduring. And then yeah, that's all for the stop, guys. Hope you have a great day ahead, and yeah, take care.